Well, WrestleMania was pretty much what I think anyone would expect it to be. At least, at least in terms of how how it was going to end, or in terms of how satisfying it was going to be. I don't I don't think anybody was surprised at all by how the main event went. I feel like everybody knew it was going to sort of be just subpar, and that the crowd was going to shit all over Roman. I don't I don't think that's any surprise to anybody. I think the biggest surprise about the main event was that Triple H's entrance came off like some sort of weird, like, Mad Max type shit or something. I don't know. It looks like some scene out of one of those old Mortal Kombat movies. I don't even fucking know. I didn't watch most of the pre-show. I saw like a little bit of the 10 Diva match just by happening to tune in at that time. I think I saw like the intro of the Dudleys match, and that was pretty much all there was for that. I knew that WrestleMania itself was going to be like 4 hours, and I just didn't really feel like watching. What was it? It was like a 2-hour pre-show or something like that. I don't know if I could have done that. I wasn't really looking forward to Mania enough like that as it was. I mean, I've been trying to be. I was trying to be cautiously optimistic about it, but I had to kind of, take a realistic approach to how it was likely going to play out. Though, with that being said, most of the matches actually went entirely different than either how I thought they were going to or how thought they should have. I'll start with the ladder match because that kicked off the show. I don't know if anyone that I talked to prior to WrestleMania had Zack Ryder even in the running for winning this match. I feel like everybody I talked to about it seemed to think it was just a shoo-in that Sammy would have his WrestleMania debut, would win the title in the ladder match, and would go on to have this big feud with Kevin Owens over the belt. And I feel like that probably would have been a really, really good thing to do to keep the Intercontinental title talked about and on the map and everything like that. And Zack Ryder is someone I don't really feel like has been kind of relevant in the past, 2-3 years. So him sort of showing up out of seemingly nowhere and winning it really, really wasn't something I was expecting to happen. I mean, I'm not against it. I hope this turns into something good for him, and I'm glad that it wasn't, say, The Miz winning, but yeah, I really don't know what to make of that. Jericho and AJ was a really good match. I mean, I'll give it that. I enjoyed it for what it was, but I really feel like AJ Styles should have gone over. I mean, it was the fifth time that they'd wrestled each other, and it was, AJ's first WrestleMania and stuff like that, and from what I could tell, he was really over, so I don't know why Jericho went over when Jericho doesn't really have... I don't want to say Jericho doesn't have anything left to do in the company, but it's more so much that Jericho doesn't have anything to prove. Jericho is always going to sort of be seen as credible. He's never going to be laughed at as a contender for something because, he's accomplished a lot. He's been there, and usually when he comes back, it's to help out younger and newer talent get over. So I'm not really sure I understand, the booking there. I mean, granted, pretty much WrestleMania can be just summed up as, Vince doesn't give a fuck what you think, because really this just felt like going against everything the fans wanted for most of the card. The six-man match was right after that, and even though it started out with probably one of the best moments in WrestleMania, which was the New Day's entrance. I mean, they came out of a fucking 20-foot box of Bootios. They were dressed up like the fucking Ginyu Force. And, like, that was amazing. I kind of lost my shit a little bit when that happened. I mean, I couldn't believe that. But, I mean, other than that, like, the actual match itself was kind of nothing. It was kind of just there. And having the League of Nations win, I don't understand that shit at all. Like, that, the New Day are just so over. And especially with that entrance, I do not understand why the fuck you would give the win to the League of Nations. That shit makes less sense than JBL trying to compare them to the Four Horsemen, which no one is fucking going to buy that. No one gives enough of a shit about the League of Nations, and I mean, really, Rusev deserves a hell of a lot better. And, I mean, like, no one cares about Sheamus, and Alberto Del Rio just doesn't care, and Barrett's on the way out of the company. So, I just don't fucking get it. It just doesn't make any sense. Lesnar and Ambrose, I liked what we got of the match, but what we got was, I think, 12 minutes? And I really feel like they should have probably given it twice as much time as it got. Like, the sad thing about this is they pretty much, at least to me, took away half of the time that Lesnar and Ambrose could have had to have like a good solid 25-30 minute match, and gave it to a Rock and to like a segment with The Rock, Cena, and like the Wyatts that did absolutely nothing but make Bray and Strowman was always going to look bad, but just made the Wyatts in general just look like utter shit, and I don't think anybody was really happy for that down the line. Like, when it happened, and Cena showing up was, I don't want to say that, like, I was sad to see him back. It's just that I feel like when it was announced that he would miss WrestleMania, everyone kind of rolled their eyes and figured that wouldn't actually happen because, you know, Cena has a tendency to come back from injuries that'll put him out for almost a year in, 3-4 months. That's just how he is, and we kind of saw that here. But back to the Lesnar-Ambrose match, it was pretty good for the time they were given. They had some good spots. Ambrose got the hell kicked out of him, as we pretty much thought he would. There was Lesnar's little bit where he just ran and jumped onto the top rope for the overhead superplex was actually pretty nice. I mean, it's not anything like out of the ordinary, and Angle did that shit all the time, and Lesnar did it back in the day, but you sort of forget that he can do stuff like that. And I know for me personally, it just, it came out of nowhere and all that. The F5 on all the steel chairs looked pretty nasty. There was a spot before where I think Lesnar was supposed to German Ambrose on the chairs, but Ambrose kind of went right over them, and Lesnar sort of landed in the middle. I mean, he didn't really give a fuck because it was Lesnar, and afterwards he's like, well, whatever, just fuck these chairs. The triple threat match for the women's championship, which feels so much better to say than for the Divas title. The match itself was really good. I thought the ending was complete and utter bullshit. I don't like how suddenly out of nowhere they've decided that triple threat matches are no disqualification or that they have no rope breaks. I mean, the no DQ thing, I guess I can sort of get, because then it's like, well, if one person gets disqualified, how do you decide who the winner is between the other two? But there being no rope breaks just doesn't really make any fucking sense. And I know during the match I was thinking, well, if there's no DQ, why doesn't Ric Flair get involved? And I get that since he did, it makes sense, but I'm not, I'm not like for it, and I don't really. I feel like since this is WrestleMania, that they should have actually had a definitive, clean finish to this. And I really felt like, with it being for the women's title, like for the first one, and with Becky coming out with Snoop Dogg, who, even though I don't like him, he was still inducted into the Hall of Fame, I feel like it just would have been right for her to have won it. So I don't know why they didn't have her win. Yeah, I mean it is what it is, I guess, and I kind of have to deal with it, but I don't know. I just wish it would have. I just wish Becky or Sasha. I don't know why I was saying Becky before. I meant to say Sasha. I just wish. I just wish that Sasha would have won, because I just think it would have made a lot more sense. Taker and Shane, I didn't really know what to expect for this. I always had this as a giant question mark because, I mean, we all knew that Shane is known for taking a lot of just random big bumps and for not being afraid to get his ass kicked, but I think everyone figured that this match was going to have a lot of interference in it, and it didn't. Like, it was really weird just seeing it be a straight up match without anyone getting involved at all. And it certainly was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I mean, Shane did a lot of the old stuff that we're used to seeing him do. Like, he did the coast to coast. He dove off of something really freaking high when he did the elbow drop off the Hell in a Cell through the. I forget if it was the Spanish or the German announce table. There's like fucking 10 different announce teams for this Mania, I swear. Shane pretty much just died having a fucking WrestleMania moment. So, I mean, I liked the match. Like, it was probably as good as it could have been. I'm not sure why there wasn't really any interference, but for that, like that being said, I think it probably was actually for the better for it. Yeah, I'm not really sure what else to say about it other than that it was kind of weird when Shane was cutting out, using the bolt cutters on the side of the cage at first, because I wasn't quite sure what he was up to, but I mean, I like the spot that came after it, and it was kind of funny a little later noting that as Shane went up, that a bunch of the money from his entrance was still stuck on top of the cell. It's not really like a big thing. I just thought it was a little amusing. The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale, it was pretty much what you'd expect from it. Though, at least in terms of quality, I wasn't expecting like Tatanka to be there and DDP showing up was random, and I don't know what the fuck they were thinking having Shaquille O'Neal come out for that. I mean, granted, it showed how big Shaq really is, but like size-wise, but it's fucking 2016. Like, how long has it been since Shaq was like a big name and super involved in things? I mean, yeah, Shaq was big, but that was like in the 90s. I mean, like Shaq had fucking Shaq Fu on the Super Nintendo. That's how long ago it was when Shaq was relevant. Having him show up now and saying that he wants an actual one-on-one match with the Big Show, it hurts my fucking mind to think of who, like, backstage decided that was a good idea. I mean, was he just fucking there and they're like, oh yeah, hey, let's throw Shaq in? I don't know what the fuck to make of that, and I'm almost afraid to actually try and watch Raw tonight and see if anything is going to come from it. I mean, it's almost morbid curiosity more than anything. Then there was that weird thing with The Rock and Cena and the Wyatts, and Rock beating Eric Rowan in, like, what was it, 5 or 6 seconds? And a whole scene that pretty much helped absolutely no one. Had Rock say, hey, we broke the attendance record, even though apparently the number was actually like 5,000 less than they said, but really, who fucking cares? It still broke the record. And then, hey, Cena's back. And I just thought it was just a waste of time. Like, it was time that could have gone towards Ambrose Lesnar, like I said. It made the Wyatts look really bad when apparently they were doing they were going to have a Bray Wyatt versus Lesnar feud post WrestleMania, so they could have had the Wyatts get involved in the Lesnar-Ambrose match and cost Lesnar the match there, which would have made a lot more sense. And it would have helped Ambrose. It wouldn't have hurt Lesnar. It would have made the Wyatts look good. It would have given us more like content instead of just a 20-minute fucking promo. Cena's return could have been done on Raw tonight and would have had probably a bigger impact that way. I just don't think there was really any point to it. I mean, yeah, okay, The Rock had a cool flamethrower when he came out of New Fire, but that was pretty much like it. It wore off in like 5 minutes. And the main event was, well, like I said, it was pretty much what you'd expect it to be. It wasn't really anything good. I mean, Stephanie pretty much fucking turned into Sindel for some odd reason in the entrance. There were all these fucking, like, I don't know what the hell to call them, like skeleton warriors or something for Triple H's entrance as he came down. I mean, it was better than the fucking Terminator entrance last year, I'll give him that, but considering how awful that was, it'd be pretty hard not to be better than that. The crowd did not get behind Roman at all, and I feel like this has almost permanently hurt him now, where it's like, even if he goes heel, he'll still have been shoved down people's like throats so much that it'll be almost impossible to redeem him in a lot of people's eyes. I mean, I noticed that suspiciously the crowd mics were getting quiet at various points throughout it, and it sounded like they were trying to pump in like crowd noise. I don't really know. I mean, I wasn't there. I can't say what it actually sounded like, but I can say that I don't think that any good really came of this. It felt like in this Mania that nothing really got accomplished. I don't want to say this is the worst WrestleMania that there's been in years, but I feel like I can't say it hasn't been. Like, I mean, yeah, everyone's going to say, well, 27 was bad, but was 27 this bad? I mean, that was like 5 years ago, and I haven't rewatched it since, but, I mean, was it really this bad? Could it be? I guess I've just got to hope that this time next year when WrestleMania 33 comes around, they actually pull off something good from it. And I know this year had like Austin and Foley and Shawn Michaels randomly showing up, and hey, that was good for a pop, but they can't just keep shoving out these Attitude Era guys to try and fix problems. And I guess I can try and hope that Raw tonight starts a bunch of things that will at least make up for it in the next few months. But being WWE, like in just being the WWE and being how it's run and being how Vince pretty much says they'll like who I tell them to like, I don't really have a lot of faith in it. I guess I'll just have to sort of cross my fingers and wait and see and hope it's actually something good, but I'll admit I'm not going to hold my breath. Anyway, I think I've pretty much said all I need to say about this, or all that I can say about it, so that's pretty much all.